Hello, guys, and welcome back. It's been a while. Some of you guys, it was too long. For most of you, it probably wasn't long enough. But welcome back. Let's get right into things. What I wanted to do first was go over a recap of what we were working on. It's been a week. You ate a lot probably at Thanksgiving, and your mind completely forgot about what was going on at school. So I want to do just a recap of what we're working on because these are the things that will be important as we finish up these final 3 weeks of the semester. So first we were working on story elements, those 5 elements of plot. Okay? Then we've been working on compound sentences. Many of you guys on the final day before the break wrote compound sentences as we did a little skill check. I read through them. A lot of you guys got it down pretty well. So that should be fairly easy for many of you. And then finally, we started your story assignment. All right, and we'll get more into that in just a second as well. First, I wanted to go over story elements, do a little review. All right, so here are the 5 parts of a story. So first, there's exposition. Second, rising action. Third, climax. Fourth, falling action. And finally, fifth, exposition. Now, with these 5 parts of the story, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, exposition, this is what makes up a story. And you will have to know this not only on a written test, but also when you're making up your own story. Your story will have to have these 5 elements and actually include one other element as well. Remember, Mr. Mascio adds in inciting incident, which makes it the 5.5 parts of a story. The inciting incident, remember, that's when everything changes. All right, in the Rogue Wave, exposition is they're out sailing, and boom, inciting incident is when the boat flips over because the rogue wave came. All right, in other stories, in any superhero story, Spider-Man, for example, exposition is Peter Parker is a loser, a nerd, and then the inciting incident, boom, he's bitten by a spider. Now the story changes, and the story actually can continue. So these are the 5.5 parts of story that you need to know. Now, moving on to compound sentences. Again, many of you guys got this right, but I wanted to recap to make sure that it's embedded in your mind. So compound sentences consist of 2 clauses. All right, well, a clause has 2 things in it. Clause has 1 subject and 1 predicate. That's what makes a complete clause. If a compound sentence has 2 clauses, then that means a compound sentence has 2 subjects and 2 predicates. That makes sense. 1 clause, 1 subject, 1 predicate. A compound sentence has 2 clauses. So that means it has 2 subjects and 2 predicates. Here's an example of a subject. Frank. That's the subject of a sentence. It's a guy's name. Newport Beach, it's a place. That's also an example of a subject. Notice it's 2 words. This one is 1 word. This subject has 2 words to it. The subject can have 1, 2, or more words. Now, here's some examples of some predicates. Likes to bike down the beach. So if I put these 2 together, Frank likes to bike down the beach. That is an example of a clause because it has 1 subject and 1 predicate. It's also an example of a simple sentence. All right? Remember, a predicate is something that tells everything about what the subject is doing. It's a complete thought. All right? So if I just said Frank likes, that obviously is not a complete predicate. Frank likes to bike down the beach. That's a complete predicate. Here's another example of a complete predicate. Is the best beach for biking. So if I said Newport Beach is the best beach for biking, that is a complete predicate attached to the subject of Newport Beach. Now, if I were to add those two together to form a compound sentence, it would look like this. Frank likes to bike down the beach, comma, and then now I need a connecting word here to connect the second clause. Newport Beach is the best beach for biking. So what do you think would be the word that best connects these two? Remember fanboys, right? These coordinating conjunctions. Frank likes to bike down the beach, blank, Newport Beach is the best beach for biking. And would be a very good word to put in there. Frank likes to bike down the beach, and Newport Beach is the best beach for biking. So now let's get into your story assignment. All right. Remember, before we left for our Thanksgiving break, there was an assignment where you guys came up with a setting for the story that you're going to tell. And that is still up on Google Classroom. 2 of my 3 classes did their pre-writing on an actual Google Doc. The 3rd class did it on paper. But all of you guys did that pre-writing exercise. For the class who did it on paper, you may now open up the pre-writing and do all your pre-writing digitally on your computers. I took a look at some of your guys' pre-writing examples, and I'm kind of going to show off a couple of them. So here's somebody. Remember when we did the pre-writing, we worked on setting, the when, the where, and the atmosphere of where our story is going to take place. All right, notice here, the complete part of when. This student did it at midnight on Tuesday in the year 2030, so kind of in the future, and it's in the fall. All right, so we know it's nighttime, it's in the middle of the week, it might be cold out because it's fall, and it's kind of in the future. Already this story is starting to take place. All right, the where was the woods in a city called Cloud City, which looks like it's on a cloud, and it's outside. All right, that makes sense. It could have been inside a cabin in the woods, but instead the student let us know that it was outside in the woods, on a cloud, which is kind of cool. It is the year 2030, so maybe in 24 years we've started to build cities up in the sky, which would be a pretty interesting story. Now the atmosphere it's chill, quiet, and alone. So this lets me know that there's not a bunch of people in Cloud City. There's probably 1 or 2 characters in this story that's in the woods on a cloud. I think right there, that's a really interesting story. Really, really good setting to tell a story in. Let's check one more. So this student, when, where, and atmosphere. The when is midnight. A lot of students pick midnight on a Friday, so it's the weekend in 2016 and November. So this is a story that takes place today. All right, no, not today, but today is a word that means it's a modern story. It didn't take place 50 years ago or 50 years in the future. This is a current story. The where, Moreno Valley, at the Moreno Valley Mall, and it's outside the mall. So now we know they're not inside. Maybe they're locked outside the mall. Maybe they're in the parking lot. But this where lets us know, oh, it's in Moreno Valley, at the Moreno Valley Mall, and it's outside the mall. Nice. All right. The atmosphere, it's cold, it's dark, and it's scary. All right. Ooh, so it's Thanksgiving. That's the event that's going on. So it's kind of like maybe a spooky Thanksgiving story, and it's on planet Earth. It's always nice to let us know. Remember, this last part here was, what's the world you want the story to be set up on? This student said it's Earth. It's a regular story, nothing special about it. It's not the zombie apocalypse. It's just a normal story set in the normal world. All right. So at this point, you guys should have already finished your pre-writing. You should know where your story is going to take place. The setting, the where, what, where, when, and the atmosphere. So when we go into the story and you start writing it, you already have an idea of where it takes place. Now, let's take a look at the final weeks. There's only 2.5 weeks left. We're almost there, and then we get a 3-week break for winter, and it's going to be great. So let's go over what the final weeks are going to look like. All right, so the first thing we'll be doing is we'll be reading another story called Flight of Icarus. Really interesting story based off of Greek mythology, and we're going to be reading that and looking at that elements of plot. So after we read The Flight of Icarus, you will begin working on your story assignment even further. The story assignment will have 2 parts to it. You'll be developing the 5.5 elements of story, and you'll be making a storyboard. So you won't be writing a story, you won't be writing many pages, you'll actually just be coming up with the 5 elements of story and then creating a storyboard, which we'll get into in just a bit. Let's take a look at a calendar, shall we? So this is the next 3 weeks. Here's today, November 28th. You have 1 week, 2 weeks, and then not even a full complete 3rd week, because notice on the 16th, there are no students. All right, so these are the only 15 days we need to worry about, and it's not even a total of 15 days because you won't even be here on the 16th. All right, so let's take a look at what we're gonna do first. Today, you're doing this video. If you complete this video by today, you're already on task. So good job, you're on schedule. All right. For the next 3 days, we'll be doing The Flight of Icarus. All right, we'll be reading the story. There'll be more video lessons that will take you through the story. And then we'll be doing a class assignment on Thursday that will go over the story. And then, of course, on Friday, there's going to be a quiz on the story to make sure you guys did the video assignment. All right, now, next week, you're going to be working on the Storyboard Project. You'll be using an online website to actually make the storyboard, so you won't have to draw at all. In fact, you'll be clicking on pictures and you'll be creating pictures on your own. It's a really, really cool website. We'll get into that later. So on the 9th, so next Friday, class goals are done. Whatever your class goals are here will be what they are for the final 6 weeks, and we'll see if you earn the game days or not. So on the 12th, this is when your storyboards are due. All right, so you've had 4 days to work on the storyboard project. They'll be due on Monday. For those of you who finish your storyboards early, you'll have the opportunity to work on some skill boosts because this is the final week of grades. All the grades you've done and everything you've done this whole semester since August will boil down to this final week. Meaning that whatever your grade is, it's never, ever, ever going to change again. If you have a D, you'll never be able to change it after this week. That will be it. It will be a D on your record permanently forever. All right. So I suggest you guys use these 3 weeks to stay on task and get your grade up. What I don't want is somebody coming to me on the 14th going, Mr. Massio, how can I get my grade up? How can I get my grade up? And they haven't even finished their storyboard yet. So if you stay on task, I will give you an opportunity to do skill boosts to get your grades up to where you want it to be. So after that final Monday, we start 3 minimum days. All right, just like the days before the break, you'll be leaving at 12:55 on each day. Now, these will be either a final test that will take 3 days, or if you've earned your class goals, it will be 3 movie days. Depending on how you guys act for these next 2 weeks. All right, so this is the end. This is it. This is the end of the semester, and it'll be off for 3 weeks. I strongly suggest that you guys do your best to work hard and stay on top of things. Don't fall behind. Don't let these video assignments lull you into a false sense of security, meaning that, oh, I won't watch it. Mr. Master doesn't know I'm playing games. Oh my goodness, You're only hurting yourself, guys. It won't hurt me at all to give you a D or an F. It only hurts yourself. So I suggest you guys stay on top of it, get these video assignments done, get ready for the quizzes, do your storyboard project, and if you stay on top of things, this should be an easy 3 weeks.